I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is our regular scheduled Lewis and Clark County Board of County Commissioners public meeting for Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. I'd like to introduce Roger Baltz, our Chief Administrative Officer, and coming on in is Nico Hash from the County Attorney's Office. Commissioner Candace Payne to my right. I'm Tom Rolfe, Chair of the Commission this year. Commissioner Andy Hunthausman here to my left, and Brandy Grandy is our recording secretary. Keep track of all of our proceedings today. We do not have any consent action items, so let's move right on into the action items. First one being Ordinance 2025-1, amending the Lewis and Clark County Community Decay Ordinance. And Beth, would you like to present that for us?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. What a great way to start a meeting with the Community Decay Ordinance. My name is Beth Norberg. I'm the Environmental Program Supervisor for Lewis and Clark Public Health. I'm before you today for the second reading of the proposed update for the Lewis and Clark County Community Decay Ordinance. The first reading was before you on January 8th, in which you opened a 30-day public comment period. That comment, there was one comment received, one public comment, a written comment, and it is in your packet for today's meeting. Just for reference and to refresh everyone's memory, the 2025 legislature enacted House Bill 742, which altered the community decay statutes. Namely, the bill limits citizen complaints to those living within a 1/4 mile radius of the property. And if a county takes community decay complaints, they require 3 complaints before an on-site inspection, unless the Board of County Commissioners determines it is a public health issue. As a summary of the public comment that you have, there were 6 key points to that comment. It was a really well-written and long comment. The changes, the citizen thought that the changes in the ordinance did weaken the ordinance rather than improve its effectiveness, and that the core problem is lack of enforcement, not lack of reporting. The requirement for 3 complaints creates an unreasonable burden to residents, discourages reporting due to fear of retaliation, and will reduce valid complaints rather than address community decay conditions. Inspections should be mandatory when a valid complaint exists, and that enforcement responsibility is shifted to the public when violations are already clearly defined. And they would also like to see tenants, not just property owners, explicitly included in the ordinance. Have greater transparency and analysis regarding the Community Decay Fund, including historical data on usage, costs, recoveries, and effectiveness. And improved enforcement and cleanup efforts could provide tangible benefits and potential revenue without increasing property taxes. So all very good, valid points. Staff, I'm before you here today to ask for a motion to approve the Community Decay Ordinance as it is written and amended. And I'm available for any questions.
One question that I'd maybe like to clarify, the difference between property owners and tenants in the ordinance. Could you go into a little more detail there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. The statute explicitly points to property owners being responsible for cleanup. We cannot cite an individual, we have to cite the property owner. So while we have other ordinances and rules that allow for us to cite tenants or responsible parties, the Community Decay Ordinance by statute does not allow the local counties the ability to enforce it that way. So we have to do it per the property owner.
And then how is there a differentiation between owners and tenants as it relates to the people who can make the complaint?
Oh, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, no, there is not. If you have to be living, how I understand, and Mr. Hash might interject if I'm wrong, but how I understand it is that if you are a person living within 1/4 mile of the community decay site, then you can file that complaint. I don't believe that you have to be, wait, let me look. Give me a moment because I will, because now Nico's furiously looking. But let me make sure. It's a very good question, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, if I
Got it
may
right here.
jump in really quickly to also address one of the other things. One of the reasons why we're having this amendment before you, including the three complaints within the quarter mile, is that's a legislative change. And so we saw from the legislature, the purposes were to, I guess, have a scenario where you have more than just one person complaining. And so I think that when we see this public comment, that's well understood. I think it bears note that we're doing this just in response to the legislative change, which is where we derived the authority to have the ordinance in the first place. And I think it does say just a resident within the quarter mile. So that would include anyone who has a residence there. That's either a property owner or a tenant.
Yes, thank you, Nico. And Mr. Commissioner, the actual House Bill 742 says the governing body of a county allows for community decay complaints to be filed by citizens. Complaints must be received by at least 3 property owners. So it is property owners, not a tenant, that can file the complaint. So it needs to be the property owner within 1 quarter mile.
Okay. All right.
So I stand corrected. Thank you. Yeah.
You know, there's a real kind of a battle here between the rights of a property owner to do what he wants to on his own property and the property, the adjacent properties, how they feel about it. I remember, it kind of reminds me of my civics teacher from somewhere in high school, and Mr. Harding, and he admonished us that my right to swing my arm ends where my neighbor's nose begins. And I think that we maybe have a few people who feel like their noses have been bloodied and by the way their neighbors have mistreated their property. And so I think this maybe defines it a little closer. Probably isn't perfect, but it defines it a little more closely about what can be done. As I recall right now, we don't have any money in a fund like that, so that may be something we'll have to take a look at, having a decay remediation fund or something like that.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the ordinance does lay out process for the county going in and abating a property if there is not compliance. Currently, there's not a specific set of money set aside for us to go in and do that work. The ordinance also states that we can clean up the property, and then it's assessed as a lien on their taxes. But of course, that money will trickle, that payback trickles in slowly as taxes are paid.
Sure. All right. Any other questions from the commission?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead. Commissioner Henhausen.
I was going to concur. Essentially, it's going to be my comment. I think Mr. Hash made it already. These are legislative changes, essentially. But what I would just encourage, and I think you read out the pertinent pieces of the comment that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say within our authority that's granted to us via the community decay statutes, where we can improve ours in future iterations, that would be great. So taking these comments and where there's opportunity to make ours better, I hope that we see a future version at some point. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Oh, yes, go ahead. Oh, any other questions? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Then is there any public comment on this item? Any public comment? There being none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve Ordinance 2026-1, amending the Lewis and Clark County Community Decay Ordinance, second reading as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any comment from the commission? Commissioner Payne.
I have comments. As beauty is in the eye of the beholder, So is Decay. I walk my dog out, and I live out north of Montana, or north of Lincoln Road. And I probably do between 2 and 4 miles as often as I can. And I walk the roads in my neighborhood and even beyond. I am amazed at the car collections. For example, yesterday I walked by a place and I bet they had 15 Volkswagen Bugs, you know, in various stages of decay or decline or whatever. But I'm sure they're valuable to certain persons, and they are private property. I come from a long line of pack rats. We just, don't want to get rid of grandma's car because we might need that someday. So, and I really understand. And you don't want to get rid of the baler, and you never bale hay now anyway, but you don't want to get rid of it. And it is a quandary. And I'm really struggling with trying to make people clean up, basically get rid of what is their private property. And just because I think it's an eyesore doesn't mean Tom thinks it's an eyesore. And it's a matter of taste. So, and all of this I don't believe is necessarily detrimental to health. It just is offensive to the eye. Well, that's pretty judgmental. Who are we to? I mean, some of the houses I see are kind of obnoxiously, and they're new. So we are at a difficult place. I know this is important. We've got a lot of places that I think are in decay out there. And I'm wondering if there might be a method of, this is just off the cuff. If we put a $1 tax on every derelict vehicle so that the owners of this property would have some incentive to figure out which ones really are valuable and which ones are just, they need to get out of here and crushed, or something on that order, because what we're doing, it really isn't working. And with our protections of private property, I can see this is an ongoing thing, but those of us with more sensitive eyesight continue to be offended. So thank you for the work you do.
Any other comments? I seeing no other comments on the motion. We'll move to a vote. All those in favor of Ordinance 2026-1, amending the Lewis and Clark County Community Decay Ordinance as explained by Beth Norberg, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next item on our agenda is contract between Lewis and Clark County and the National Association of Pretrial Service Agents. Bob Busey.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Bob Buzzy. I am the Court Services and Diversion Supervisor with your Criminal Justice Services. Today I'm here to request your approval and signature on the contract between NAPSA, or the National Association of Pretrial Service Agencies, and Lewis and Clark County. The National Association of Pretrial Service Agencies, or NAPSA, established a commission on accreditation in 2011 with the purpose of establishing comprehensive national standards for pretrial programs and implementing a voluntary program of accreditation to measure compliance with these standards. Only 6 programs in the United States currently hold NAPSA accreditation, with one other program currently seeking accreditation. Accreditation of Lewis and Clark County's pretrial program will provide us with the opportunity to ensure national pretrial release standards are being implemented to their fullest extent. Accreditation benefits include an external assessment of program strengths and weaknesses, the establishment of measurable criteria, defense against outside interests, improved staff training and development, as well as the opportunity for future grant funds. NAPSA accreditation requires Lewis and Clark County to conduct an accurate self-assessment on policy alignment with NAPSA standards, provide one or more persons to assist NAPSA auditors, and provide all necessary documents, files, records, and other data required by NAPSA in accordance with Montana state law. Similarly, NAPSA agrees to provide 2 auditors to conduct a formal assessment of our compliance, promptly analyze all compliance data, and measure all compliance data against NAPSA standards before determining whether accreditation is warranted. The accreditation contract is associated with a fee of $13,650 and travel costs not to exceed $8,321. The Department of Criminal Justice Services has previously budgeted for these fees. So once again, I'm here to request your approval and a signature on the contract between NAPSA and Lewis and Clark County, and I'm here for any questions you may have.
Are there questions from the commission about this? Any questions?
Nope. I don't have any.
Yeah. You have?
Mr. Chair, I think I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No questions. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the action item 3B contract between Lewis and Clark County and the National Association of Pretrial Service Agencies, NAPSA, as presented by Mr. Busey.
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any comments from the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hunthausen.
Thanks for bringing this. I just wanted to say we've spent some time now since we've committed to go down this route and seek accreditation. So this is our kind of our step where we really engage and evaluate the program. And I'm looking forward to that. And I think it will tell where some of our strengths and weaknesses might be, or opportunities, maybe I should describe it that way. As well, it'll give us some good kudos and feedback, I think, on the basis of our program and how well we're doing. I'm glad to see it. And the value of accreditation, I think we'll find that out as well through this process. So looking forward to seeing it come to fruition here. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, it just seems to me that it's really important on a program that's relatively new like this to compare yourself with others around to see if there's ways we can do it a little bit better, and or ways we can share with other people about how we're doing it. We're accomplishing some of that with the recent action that was taken, that we were given an opportunity to get some help from the national group. And I think this will add to it nicely, and maybe help us to learn and also to share with others what we're doing. Any other comments? Or all right, I see no further comment on item 3B. We'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the contract between Lewis and Clark County and the National Association of Pretrial Service Agencies, as explained by Bob Bussey, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next item, 3C, contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Missoula City County Health Department. Sarah.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. I'm Sarah Sandow. I'm the Grant Specialist at Lewis and Clark Public Health. Today I have before you for your consideration a contract with Missoula City County Health Department in the amount of $5,835 for Missoula to provide nurse supervision for the Nurse Family Partnership Program. The timeline for this contract is October 2025 through December 2025. The funds to cover this contract come from our Healthy Montana Families Task Order that comes from the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services grant that was previously approved by the Commission. The Nurse Family Partnership Program provides a home visiting nurse for women who qualify to provide advice and information during pregnancy up until the child is age 2. Home visiting programs help build skills and tools for new parents in the Lewis and Clark County area. Marissa is our nurse in the Nurse Family Partnership Home Visiting Program, and she is funded to serve 19 families. To carry out this nurse family partnership model, our nurse needs to have a nurse supervisor that is trained and active in the model. This model fidelity requires the supervisor with a maximum ratio of 1 supervisor to 8 nurses, with a minimum of half time of their role being this model specifically. This can be a big barrier for implementing the program. That is why for almost 10 years, we have been partnered with Missoula City County Health Department to hire the nurse supervisor and contract for supervision. Lewis and Clark Public Health and Missoula City County Health Department share that 0.5 supervisor between our 2 locations for cost savings. The contract is only for 1 quarter though, because as a state, there are now fewer home visitors in the program, which allow us to serve Missoula, Lewis and Clark County, and Yellowstone County with 1 supervisor. So starting in January 2026, all of the nurses in this program for the Nurse Family Partnership Program will be supervised by 1 supervisor in Billings. This will lead to even more cost savings for each of the 3 participating health departments, as well as a cost savings for the state, because they cover the licensing fees. The contract with Riverstone will come before you shortly. The reason this contract with Missoula is coming after the project period is due to a few factors. Firstly, the state provided us with the task order late into the federal fiscal year, which delayed us drafting this contract. And also this potential combining to 1 location versus just us with Missoula, we only became aware to this option in late September. So it took us time as a state to discuss, was that okay for Missoula, as they had budgeted for a full year to partner with us. So we needed to make sure that they would be okay financially for this year. So we had to figure out what timeline would work for all 3 health departments. All 3 decided that this cost savings was worth it to start right away. So that's why we're starting in January. And then it took time, once we decided it was 1 quarter, for us to draft it, for their legal to review it, our legal to review it, and then for them to sign it, and now going forward for us to sign it as well. So the work from Missoula was performed in good faith for this contract signature. Staff recommends approval, and I'm here for questions.
Do we have any questions? All right.
And I'm sure this is done in good faith, and no doubt but this is a retroactive contract. This is public money. Eco, can we enter into contracts retroactively with public money and pay this out without crossing some line?
Chair Rolfe and Commissioner Payne, so normally with a lot of these contracts, what we see is we're catching up with the funding aspect to it. It's not necessary to trigger any obligation, but it's to create the barometer of how the expenditures are going. So it's not, Commissioner Payne, I know what you're saying in terms of if you're going to retroactively date contracts and that sort of a thing, but we're entering into a contract now. Parties do this all the time where you say, here's where we're entering the contract, but the terms of the contract are going to be, in a sense, retroactive, because that's when we're building what the time of the services are going to be. So.
Okay. Other comments?
I'm just sort of appalled. How frequently does this happen in government that we enter into retroactive contracts? Is that common?
Chairman Rolfe and Commissioner Payne, I certainly don't think that there's any time frame in which we need to enter into this. So our office is certainly happy to, if you wanted to table this, we can have a further deep dive discussion to get to some of your questions, Commissioner Payne. So fortunately, I don't have a list of this, but as the board knows, we see this happen somewhat frequently, especially when it comes to grant funding from the department where we're waiting for time to come, or the monies to come for that. So,
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner,
I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, from my experience, I think you were just describing that, is that often the state of Montana, especially those contracts we have with DPHHS, they're often kind of behind schedule. So by the time they get those contracts out and they come, often we're months into the actual contract year, contract time frame. So it's been a regular occurrence for my entire time on the commission, and I think that's the experience across our state. So one of the things that brought up last time I was at the DPHHS Behavioral Health Budgeting Committee at the legislature was that exact issue, that gosh, if you want these contracts to be acted on timely, then the state needs to get those out to the communities in a regular time. But what I would really hate to do, because this norm has been set for a long time, what I would hate to do is for us to table something and slow the work down that our folks are doing here. That's not in our control if the state of Montana is not getting contracts out on a timely manner. In this case, it might not be exactly that, as we were trying to work with multiple counties, but it often isn't our issue. So I would not support tabling and waiting. I think we can talk about this post this decision because it's happening on a relatively regular basis. So if there's something we can do to work on it with our partners at the state, that's great. But part of this is out of our control, and we have to take what we get and act on it as it comes. So understanding I'll use the word weirdness of the situation. It's kind of been the norm over the years, and so we don't control our state partners.
Mr. Chair.
Excuse me. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Commissioner. I just wanted to weigh in as well, too. Over the years, as Commissioner Hunthausen has been indicating, Commissioner Payne, this is not uncommon for this to happen. And I just want to reiterate as well, too, we don't control the timeline from the state of Montana of when we receive these documents. And based on what we've seen in the past, I think there's a very good likelihood that this is not the last time that we will see this type of a dynamic in front of you beyond today, based on what we've seen in the past. But I completely understand your question and concern, Commissioner Payne. But again, it's not in our control. Our choice is to continue to participate in accessing these funds when we can. And I just wanted to offer those comments. Thank you very much.
One question I might ask is, was this contract anticipated in your budget?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This contract was anticipated in our budget at a higher level, actually, because if we were to stay with Missoula City County for the full year as we planned, it would have been about almost 2 to 3 times more. So we had budgeted for that 2 to 3 times more, but now that we're going to move to billings, we were able to cut that, and so we'll have a cost savings. So yes, it was in our budget. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. And I think, and it sounds like the Department of Public Health has been kind of behind the 8 ball on these things for a long time. And maybe the federal departments has been part of it as well. But it does look bad to be doing things after the fact like this. There's no question about it. And we just ask that as much as you can, include these things in your budget as you've been doing, and lean on the agencies, the state and federal agencies that need to get these work out as we can to get the paperwork out earlier. I think that's important. All right. Any other questions at this point? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, can we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Missoula City County Health Department as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further comment from the commission? Any further comment from the commission? I think Commissioner Payne's questions are well taken. I think like I say, I think we need to encourage those that we depend on to be more timely in their things wherever they can be. So I think the key to it is that we have to anticipate these things in our budgets that we work on earlier in the year. All right. Any other comment on the motion from the commission? There being none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Missoula City County Health Department, as explained by Sarah Sandow, please say aye.
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 Motion, anyone, all opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is a grant application to the National Environment Health Association, Federal Drug Administration, NEHAFDA, Retail Flexible Funding Model Grant Program. Sarah.
Thank you. Good morning again, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. I'm Sarah Sandow, the Grant Specialist for Lewis and Clark Public Health. Today I have before you a grant application for your consideration to the National Environmental Health Association Federal Drug Administration Retail Flexible Funding Model Grant Program. The grant period begins April 1st, 2026 through March 31st, 2027 in the amount of up to $15,500. The application is due in the online portal on February 12th, 2026. The National Environmental Health Association and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration work in partnership to administer this retail flexible funding model grant program. The program provides funding to state, local, tribal, and territorial retail food regulatory agencies as they advance conformance with the voluntary National Retail Food Regulation Program standards. More information can be found on their website. The grant program has three primary goals. The first is to support strategies that reduce the occurrence of foodborne illness risk factors in retail food establishments. The second is to promote uniformity and build a national integrated food safety system by enabling state, local, tribal, and territorial retail food jurisdictions to move toward full conformance with the standards. And the third is to fully leverage the expertise and capacity of the retail food protection agencies to meet the goals of these standards. Lewis and Clark Public Health has received this funding for the past 5 years. This year, we would apply under Track 2 in the funding opportunity. This grant would provide resources to continue our work on the current improvement that was documented in our self-assessment of these standards. So that'll be up to $5,000. The completion of a new self-assessment, since our self-assessment expires in September, and that would be up to $3,000, and training for current staff so they can attend a retail food training conference or workshop, up to $7,500. Staff recommends approval, and I'm here for questions.
Are there any questions from the commission on this item? Any questions from the commission? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment on this item? There being none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the grant application to the National Environmental Health Association Federal Drug Administration Retail Flexible Funding Model Grant Program as presented by Sarah Sandow.
Second.
Is there any comment on this item? Is there any comment on the motion? Any comment from the commission on the motion? There being none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the grant application to the National Environment Health Association Federal Drug Administration NEHAFDA Retail Flexible Funding Model Grant Program, as explained by Sarah Sandow, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Next item on our agenda is item 3E, a grant application to the AARP Community Challenge Grant Program. Sarah.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. I'm Sarah Sandow, the Grant Specialist at Lewis and Clark Public Health. Today, before you is a grant application for your consideration to the AARP Community Challenge Grant Program for their Capacity Building Micro Grant. The grant period would be June 10th, 2026 through December 15th, 2026, and the amount not to exceed $2,500. The application is due in the online portal on March 4th, 2026. More information on this program can be found on the AARP website. When disaster strikes, there are only so many first responders available. In times of crisis, our neighbors are often our first line of care and defense. Yet few people even know their neighbors these days, which hampers resiliency and feeds the loneliness epidemic that we're facing. Creating ways for neighbors to get to know each other, such as community gatherings, can be cost prohibitive or have too many barriers to overcome for many low-income or aging neighborhoods. To increase community connectedness and build community disaster preparedness, Lewis and Clark Public Health, in collaboration with our community partners, is creating a mini grant program to support neighborhood gatherings. This opportunity will take away the cost and knowledge barrier of throwing a block party, while also providing the neighborhood champions with tips to hosting the gathering, information about permits and food safety, access to resources that could be present at the event, how to include emergency preparedness components and resources in the event, and how to make it accessible for our aging neighbors and those with potential access or functional needs. This program leverages the power of social connectedness as a public health strategy, recognizing that resilient and disaster-ready communities are built not just in infrastructure, but also through relationships. These grant-funded events will serve as a low-barrier, high-impact opportunity for residents to meet, to build trust, and foster relationships across generations and backgrounds. We plan to offer 5 neighborhoods $500 each to test out the program and see how it works. The steering committee can then provide the funds as well as resources. The neighborhoods themselves will be the ones to plan their gatherings and put together. This grant from AARP, along with some community donations that we've already received, will help fund those gatherings. In addition to the funds, we will be providing the neighborhoods with a checklist for best practices, steps for permits, and other things that we can help them overcome. The plan is to launch this program if we receive all these funds in June 2026. The steering committee working on this project includes partners from the city and county, East Helena Citizens Council, the Aging Well Work Group, and just some interested community members as well. Staff recommends approval, and I'm here for questions.
Are there any questions on this item?
Yes.
Commissioner Payne.
Thank you. Sandra, first of all, thank you for speaking slowly. I just love your presentations. I can understand them. Well, I can understand what you're saying. I'm not sure I understand, but so thank you. Then, as far as my questions, you plan to offer 5 neighborhoods $500 each. How are those chosen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne, great question. So the steering committee is putting together an application, and so in June, we'll promote it to the community. We'll through the Helena Citizens Council, through social media, through public posts, through probably news releases, we'll promote it to the community that any neighborhood champion can apply. When they apply, the application will have, of course, how big is your block? What streets does your block include? Because the goal is not that you just invite next door or that you invite everyone but next door. The goal is that you invite your whole block, everyone in that block's included, and you get to define what your block is. So it will say what the location is, it will say when you're thinking of hosting it, it will say what components you're planning on including, and then there will be some priority for our aging neighborhoods or in neighborhoods in low income, because there are some blocks that are already having amazing parties and that we want to showcase and highlight and learn from them. But the goal is to host new block parties. The goal is a neighborhood that has not been able to connect yet. So that application will go at some of those questions, and then the steering committee will have a scoring criteria, and the top 5 will be the ones who are receiving the funds.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Any other questions? Do we have any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the grant application to AARP Community Challenge Grant Program as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion from the commission? Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of the grant application to the AARP Community Challenge Grant Program, as explained by Sarah Sandow, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the grant application to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. Sarah.
Thank you. Last one for me, I promise. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. I'm Sarah Sandow, the grant specialist at Lewis and Clark Public Health. Today, I have before you for your consideration a grant application to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality for their non-point source funding opportunity. This grant period would be October 1st, 2026 through April 31st, 2028, in the amount not to exceed $30,000 along with a 10% match. The Department of Environmental Quality provides funding each year to local watershed groups, conservation districts, educational institutions, and government entities to design and implement on-the-ground projects that reduce and prevent non-point source pollution. The Department of Environmental Quality is focusing funding on projects that will restore natural processes, such as stream channel migration, floodplain connectivity, native riparian vegetation, struggled on that word, and are more likely to result in measurable improvements in water quality. Non-point source pollution typically comes from a diffuse source such as grazing, timber harvest, abandoned mine lands, irrigation, recreation, and septic systems. The goal of Montana's non-point source program is to protect and restore Montana's waters from the effects of these non-point source pollution. Non-point source pollution reduction projects have co-benefits of reducing land loss, improving wildlife habitat, increasing crop and forage production, and enhancing recreation opportunities. The Lewis and Clark Water Quality Protection District's Lake Helena Watershed Group has a Lake Helena Watershed Protection Plan that ran from 2016 through 2023. The priorities in the plan were to sediment reduction activities throughout the watershed, lower Prickly Pear Creek downstream from Lump Gulch, and lower 10 Mile Creek below the water treatment plant. With the plan sunsetting in 2023, an update is needed to provide timely data, updates on these projects that have been completed, stakeholder engagement, and documenting new priorities for the next 7 years. Having active watershed restoration plans allow you to apply for more money through the Department of Environmental Quality. This funding opportunity would provide us money to hire consultants so that they can help the Lake Helena Watershed Group update the plan. Staff recommends approval, and I'm here for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission on this item number 3F? Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Payne?
I just have a question. The Lewis and Clark Water Quality Protection District's Lake Helena Watershed Group. Can you kind of give me does this include our whole county, or is this only that around Lake Helena? Or can you tell me where the parameters of this district are?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne. If it's all right with you, I'll have Jennifer McBroom, the Water Quality Protection District Supervisor, come up as she's
You bet.
the expert on it.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer McBroom, and I'm the supervisor for the Water Quality Protection District. So Commissioner Payne, so it's two separate entities. It's actually the Water Quality Protection District and the Lake Helena Watershed Group. So We are writing this document. This is actually the watershed restoration plan that was developed for this 2016 to the 2023 plan that Sarah Sandow talked about. So it is actually the watershed boundary, the whole Lake Helena watershed that this plan encompasses. So it's all the way down into Jefferson County. It goes up to basically the north end, just like our water quality district boundary. And to the west, it would be typically the top of the McDonald Pass, and then the Spokane Hills to the east. So
Okay.
it actually, it helps the Water Quality Protection District work a little bit further into those headwaters that the Water Quality Protection District within their boundaries are not able to.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? It seems to me that with the uncertainty on federal and state funding on some health-related items, that you're out there looking for some new programs and ways to help the public and to get some extra funding here. And I think that you're being proactive, looks to me, and trying to keep some of the programs going. So, makes some sense. Is there any other? Are there any other comments? Is there any public comment? Any public comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the grant application to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality as presented by Sarah Sandow.
Second.
Is there are there any comments from the commission on this item number 3F?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hunthausen.
Thank you for bringing this, and thank you, Supervisor McBroom. I just am grateful and proud of the work that the Watershed Group and the district have been doing together, and the plan, and both of these the 10 Mile and the Prickly Pear, ultimately the Lake Helena watershed has been getting healthier from my perspective, and more water in that system on a regular basis than in years past. And kudos to stepping out and working with all of the landowners as well. There's a lot of private landowners that have water rights that have chosen to find alternatives and work together with the Watershed Group and the district to make that watershed more healthy. So looking forward to the next chapter of that and the work to be done, and to realize the plan fully. So that's great. Thank you for your work.
All right. Any other comments? Any other comments? Then let's move to a vote. We have a motion and a second on the grant application to the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is number 3G, board appointment, Connor Fitzpatrick.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chair Rolfe, Commissioners Hunthausen and Payne. Connor Fitzpatrick, Lewis and Clark County Elections. I'm the Elections Division Supervisor. Normally today I'd be bringing before you a vacancy for the Canyon Creek Rural Fire District. However, upon review of everything after it had been posted to the agenda, we found that a step that we'd been taking for the past few years in relation to vacancies on this district specifically had not been taken. That step was posting this vacancy to our website. So at the end of the day, with that step being missed, we do recommend postponement of this item for 30 days so that we can rectify that by posting to our website literally as soon as I leave this room. And I'm here for any questions that you may have, as well as, just generally.
When would the 30 days be up then?
Mr. Chair, yes. With the 30, if postponed, the notice would be up for 30 days, which would put us to March 10th. And I believe based on the deadlines for posting items to the agenda, that would actually have to make it so that this would appear on the March 17th commissioner meeting, because we'd have to leave filing for this appointment open until 5 p.m. March 10th, which, if I remember correctly, the deadline to get, it's a Tuesday, so the deadline to get an item on the Thursday agenda would be noon on March 10th. So we'd miss it by a few hours.
All right, right. Roger, would you have any problems with that, doing it on dealing with it on our regular meeting on the 17th then?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, that will work just fine if that's what you decide.
All right. Are there any questions?
Isn't March 17th St. Patrick's Day? Isn't it a national holiday?
It is.
Can we do that?
In
Oh.
Ireland, it's a national holiday.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Okay.
As much as a gentleman by the name of Fitzpatrick would enjoy it to be a national holiday in the States, no, unfortunately, it's just another day.
Okay.
As much as my family would wish otherwise.
That was said tongue in cheeks.
I'm tracking now. I'm tracking.
Mr. Chair, on a serious note, just a discussion here amongst ourselves. And Connor and I had this discussion this morning, actually, and I wanted to have it more fully with the commission and with Mr. Hash here. This district and some of the other districts, that many of them are different in terms of elections and how this stuff works and appointments. But I believe we could essentially standardize our process somewhat. This 30-day period, we don't necessarily do that with other districts. We sometimes do, sometimes don't. So we could have an internal policy that basically lays it out, and every time one of these positions come open, we do it a specific way, and we follow that procedure for all of them. Even though some of them may not have that same requirement, we can have our own internal policy to do that so that the public and the commission and staff, everyone can have the same expectation of how these things will work. And I think, if we use the one that's the most restrictive, if you will, I think I can't remember which one, but I think it's this 30-day process, and that would allow us to do it, kind of standardize that process for all the districts across our system that we have jurisdiction over, and we could lay out a policy in writing and could hand that to someone and say, this is how we do it. So when something comes open, this is the way we work it, rather than each time having to decide whether we're going to do it right away or wait 30 days, or this one we did it differently than that one. So just wanted to have that discussion on the record and make sure that that's possible, that we could create kind of a standard and a policy around that for ourselves so that we don't run into this again.
Would might be something we take a look at and see if there's any reason why that wouldn't be a good policy to have. All right, Commissioner Payne.
Just a comment. The fire districts are special districts. And generally speaking, the commission, we have no control over them. It's like having control over a county in North Dakota. No, it's not our dog in that fight. And it's not just fire districts, it's cemetery districts, water sewer districts. There's a lot of special districts. And so I think a standard procedure is a good idea, but I also think we need to make sure it doesn't get us tangled up in other legal necessities. What we're trying to do is avoid getting the county sued. Nico, lead us.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, so the 30-day requirement for posting a vacancy comes from our 7-1, 201, 202 districts. So I'll go, I think it's cemetery districts, weed boards, mosquito districts, park districts, et cetera, et cetera. That's explained in statute. The resolution creating those districts also requires that the board put out a 30-day notice. For fire districts or for fire service areas, for example, statute says that there's a vacancy on that board that it's filled by a board of county commissioners, but we don't have the similar 30-day requirement that exists for the other boards. Now, that being said, over time in history, we usually see some of these boards not having a lot of people chomping at the bit to be on the boards. So without any notice, sometimes we go 2, 3, 4, 5 months with a vacancy. When we've run into issues where there are a certain number of folks who want to be on these boards, that's where we've started the process, or the county started the process a couple of years ago, to just have that 30-day process be somewhat standard. I think this was just something, other things happened, and so that got missed at this point. Again, there's no time requirement or a deadline for a Board of County Commissioners to fill a vacancy. So I think in proceeding forward, that's Mr. Fitzpatrick's recommendation to you all, that we just go ahead and follow the same process that the county's done in the past. And it's kind of already a policy and process that the county's already doing. It's certainly well noted and well heard that getting it down in writing helps. So.
Okay. Connor.
If I may add one more item, Mr. Hash also, when talking about the weed board, the mosquito board, those are specifically appointed boards, whereas the fire district are specifically elected boards. So that's, from my understanding, where you get those kind of that divergence between the notices, elected versus appointed. And to Commissioner Payne's point about how there are a variety of special districts, I believe we have 32 elected special districts in our county, fun fact, between water sewer districts, fire districts, et cetera. Some of those districts, fire districts being the prime example here, do have that county commissioner in a mild form of oversight by appointing to fill those vacancies. However, on the flip side, your water sewer districts don't have the county commissioner oversight to appoint to fill those vacancies. Those vacancies are filled by the, per statute, by the remaining directors on the board. So even your special districts are kind of in a bunch of different areas in statute, which makes it all the much more fun for us as the elections office to go, okay, so let's see, that's a 4-year term for a water sewer district. That's a 3-year term for a fire district. You're appointing vacancies from the county commissioner over here. With water sewer, okay, vacancies done by the remaining board of the directors. Oh, by the way, landowners can vote in both of those if they come and provide payment of property taxes. But don't even get me started on hospital districts or the one park district we have where the statutes were technically repealed in, I think, like 2009, but they're still operating under those statutes. It's all kinds of interesting. So definitely having some kind of policy in place where it's like, okay, posted for 30 days, district lets us know, hey, FYI, we have a vacancy. From there, that's when the 30-day timer starts, post it right away, make sure that we get people hopefully interested. Like the Upper Blackfoot Valley Community Council has, I think, 5 members currently out of a 7-member board. So, they've been looking for people for a while. Maybe it helps with outreach and recruitment. I don't know. But it's definitely something that I want to approach with, at least in the case of fulfilling vacancies, with multiple fire districts to go, hey, at the end of the day, like, is this going to cause problems for you guys? Like, I know, like, this district over here might be looking for people to allow others to retire. This one might be comfortable with where they're at, not looking to retire or anything. So we don't want to flip the apple cart here. But we do want to perhaps grease the axle, so to speak, of the axle cart or the apple cart and make sure that things move smoothly from here on forward. So I do have some ideas kicking around in my brain. I'll put pen to paper. We'll chat with Nico. We'll chat with the special districts. We'll get something written down for this because having one district with a specific idiosyncrasy versus all the other special districts, when there's already a bunch of idiosyncrasies between many special district types, just adds another layer of difficulty to some of these things. So definitely start putting pen to paper on that. We'll chat with the county attorney's office, chat with some districts, probably chat with you folks as well, just to make sure that we're not overly applying grease to that apple cart axle, to continue the metaphor, and that we're hitting things where we need to. So,
all right. Well, I really do appreciate your attention to the detail and trying to be fair with the people that are involved. So you have done an exemplary job of of watching over our elections and making sure they're fair and free. And I think that's very important.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other comments on this? Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just, so are we going to move to table this or move to ignore it? Or, I mean, what's our procedure here?
Well, we're talking about it, about his request right now.
The board appointment.
And we'll ask for public comment, and then we'll make a motion, or we all could make a motion, and we'll go from there.
Yes, and it's Andy's turn. He'll do a good job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Any other comment from the commission? As we go, seeing no further comment from the commission, is there any public comment? Is there any public comment on this item? There being no public comment, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we postpone a board appointment and open a 30-day period of application. I believe it's framed of application to close on March 10th.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? Any more discussion on the
Mr. Chair,
motion?
just
Commissioner Hunter.
appreciate the conversation about the potential future policy change, and of course, we're talking about the Canyon Creek Rural Fire District here in this 30-day opening. But I just appreciate the conversation. Look forward to the results of that work that happens beyond this decision today. So thank you.
And one question, we did not specifically say that time, but there'll be a closing date of the 10th.
I did say that.
And then we can just set it up depending on the agendas at that time.
Mr. Chair, I did include the 10th in my motion.
The 10th, yeah. The 10th is in the motion, but we didn't, we talked about the 17th, and I probably will just leave it open until what's appropriate at the time. Okay. We'll just leave it the 10th being the closing day. All right. I have a motion to postpone the decision until March 10th. A comment period that would close on March 10th. And then bring back to us at the appropriate time. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, it's an application period, so people can apply until March 10th at 5 p.m.
Application period through March 10th. Yeah. Is there any further discussion? We'll move to a motion. We'll move to a vote on Commissioner Hunthausen's motion to postpone, leave this open for application until March 10th. All those in favor say aye.
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 Pose same sign. There being, so it looks like it was passed unanimously, 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
We have arrived at that point in our deliberations where we are, or we're open to any discussion that might be on a public matter within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda above. Is there any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? There being none, we're adjourned.